Old Sneelock. Welcome to another episode of Old Sneelock's Workshop. Sanding the Tote I usually do with a hand block. I suppose you could go over this with a power sander, but chances are you're just gonna gouge it all out. Unless it's been really gummed up where somebody put a bunch of varnish on it, most of the time just going over it with 150 grit is more than enough. And all I'm really trying to do is just take off the rough spots and get the paint spatter off of it. I don't need to take away any wood. Now if it had a lot of varnish on it, I sometimes take a scraper blade to it. Varnish is hard and doesn't cut very well, so it tends to load up the sandpaper, whereas the scraper blade takes it right off without any trouble. We're getting into the tight spots. Using 150 grit emery paper, the cloth back kind. Let you get in there and do a good job without a whole lot of trouble. Just have to watch the edges because the 150 grit is pretty aggressive. This is 150 grit glued to a paint stirring paddle. That lets me get into these spots where I need to get rid of some pits and divots. Like right here, this edge has been pretty hammered. So I go after it with a 50 grit on this side, and I smooth it up with a 150. Now depending on what condition your saw is in, you're going to do various sundry things just to make it look the way you want it to look. I'm not recommending one way or the other. This is just what I'm doing with this saw. I recognize that this saw is pretty well hammered, so I want to get it cleaned up. Using the pinch method is especially handy down in these little tight spots. I can take my thumb and push down on the sandpaper and then just draw it out underneath my thumb, and it'll take that little tight area there and clean it right up. Let you wrap right around corners. Now this is end grain, so it doesn't matter which direction I'm going, as long as I'm going consistently the same direction. I don't have to follow the grain because it's the end grain of the wood. I don't go down into the carving. I tried it and it just made the edges all mushed over. So I said that was a bad idea and never did it again. Get down into the ivy carving with a wire brush and just clean the dirt out of it. A little bit more here to do in this corner. There. Now we put some boiled linseed oil on it, we should be all good. This is why you should clean up your saw tote before you send it in to get the saw sharpened. Because the time I spend on doing this is something you could do on your own. And it's going to cost you a lot less if you do it than if I do. And these black rubber gloves keep the boiled linseed oil off my hands. Because even though it's not really hazardous, I don't want to take a risk. Besides that, it's a real gummy mess. It gets all over everything, and I don't want to have to spend time washing the stuff off my hands. I use a 50-50 mix of boiled linseed oil and mineral spirits, and I just put it on with a rag. Kind of liberally smear it around. It's self-leveling. So because it's so thin, it just goes on like a coat of water. Just make sure I got it all over there, all the surfaces. And I just let it set. Now I usually give it 2 or 3 coats, and that's about 2 hours between each coat. So that adds a lot of time to the job. Once again, this is work that you could be doing. And then when you get your saw back, you've got a saw that works really good and hadn't cost you an arm and a leg. Now, I don't usually just do one saw at a time. I'll do 5 or 6. That way I've got work that I can be doing while I'm waiting for this to dry. I'm going to set this over out of the way and let it set up. And while it's doing that, I'll sharpen the blade. Rather than going through the whole process of sharpening the blades, at the end of this video, there's a link to the videos where I show you how I do the saw sharpening. You can just jump to that. This video is all about getting the rust off the blade with the new tools that I developed, and the way I get the varnish off and get a new finish put on the tote. Hello? Hi. Yes, I did. I was looking for somebody who can sharpen my hand saws. Oh, okay. Nobody's doing those anymore. That's Richland. Yeah, just northeast of Kalamazoo. Not that I can find. The hardware store said the guy that they had up in Grand Rapids stopped doing it. Yep. Well, it's kind of an odd thing to be doing anymore, I guess. If I wasn't such an antique nut, I probably wouldn't even bother with the hand saws, but... Well, thanks a lot for calling me back, Ronnie. That's okay. Thanks. Bye-bye. I'm working on a new venture. I found that nobody in this area wants to sharpen saws. So I'm going to be sharpening saws. I have arranged for a drop-off point at Burgess Antiques down in Galesburg, Michigan. You can take your saw down there, fill out a tag, tell me what you want done to it, and then I'll come and pick up your saw, sharpen it for you, take it back down to Burgess, and you can pick it up again. If you have any suggestions for a new video, questions about today's video, or any of the other videos on the channel, just drop a note in the comments. You know I read them all. Thanks for watching.